Do you how the law works? Do you want me to break the law in a federal judge's order?
No, I want you to follow your own word, Director Patel. You said up there it was under the direct control of the FBI director. He had the black book.
Everything I
2 minutes ago, a shocking moment occurred in American political history. In the House Oversight Committee, in an environment where hundreds of journalists and dozens of cameras were broadcasting live, the sentence that came out of the mouth of FBI Director Kash Patel was, "I am invoking my Fifth Amendment rights." The FBI director is the head of America's most powerful law enforcement unit. At the Congress, he exercised his right to clear himself of accusations. And do you know what made him say that? An important list in the hands of Democratic Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland. There are exactly 47 names on this list from the Epstein files. And when Patel heard those names, he chose to remain silent rather than speak, because if he spoke, he might be thrown in jail. I need to say this right away. This morning's events are not just a congressional scandal. This was perhaps a historic moment that exposed corruption at the highest levels of the American justice system. And if you don't want to miss this moment either, watch this video until the end, because every name, every document, every question Raskin presents reveals how rotten the system is, and I don't want you to miss that. Come, let me tell you what happened to you from the very beginning. January 23, 2026, 9:30 a.m. The House Oversight and Accountability Committee met for a routine hearing regarding the review of the FBI's Epstein investigation files. But actually, this wasn't a routine hearing. Everyone knew that some important things would be revealed today. When Kash Patel entered the salon, he wasn't alone. He was accompanied by his lawyers. He had a full 8 lawyers with him. They were all carrying the same bag, they all had tense facial expressions, and they were all acutely aware that something was definitely going to happen. The experienced person at the Congress immediately realized this, because 8 lawyers meant we're ready for the Fifth Amendment. Someone was going to be accused of something big, and that someone was fully preparing to defend themselves. Patel sat down at the witness stand. He placed a glass of water, a microphone, and a thick folder in front of him. It was clear from his facial expression. The first hour went by with standard procedure. Republican members asked supportive questions. Director Patel, how are the FBI's efforts regarding transparency? Director, how much progress have you made in releasing the Epstein files? Patel gave his standard, prepared answers. Unprecedented transparency. We disclosed 8,200 pages of documents. Our commitment to the victims is unwavering. Everything was under control until the clock strikes 10:42. The committee chairman gave the floor. The Honorable Jamie Raskin from Maryland. The salon changed instantly. Jamie Raskin is not just a member of Congress, a former constitutional law professor, the manager at the head of Trump's second impeachment trial, a man who has had 2 speech disorders, undergone cancer treatment, but has never given up fighting. If I said there was a bomb in that folder when Raskin opened it, it wouldn't be a wrong analogy. And Raskin had placed 3 separate folders on the table in front of him. Red, blue, and black. Each one had classification marks. Patel saw the folders. His eyes narrowed and his right hand went under the table. This was one of the indicators of Patel's stress. "Director Patel," said Raskin, his voice calm but with a hardness beneath it, "I'm going to ask you a very simple question, and I expect your answer to be correct." Patel nodded in agreement but didn't speak. How many witness statements from the Epstein investigation files did you personally classify? This was a trap. "Mr. Representative," Patel said, his voice controlled, "I personally don't make every individual classification decision. This is the FBI classification division." The correct answer is 47. You personally, despite the FBI's classification division's objection, placed 47 witness statements under permanent classification. This was the first bomb. Raskin opened the red folder. This is a letter from Dr. Rebecca Morrison, the FBI's Chief Classification Officer, dated November 1st, 2025. Let me read. Director Patel, your decision to permanently classify the 47 witness statements is contrary to our institutional standards. There is no information in these statements that would pose a national security risk. This decision may be against the law. Signature, Dr. Rebecca Morrison. Patel, trembling, lifted the glass of water. Dear Representative, that letter doesn't fully reflect the story. Is that the whole story? Raskin's voice rose. So tell me the whole story. Why did you bury 47 witness statements despite your own chief classification officer's objection? One of Patel's lawyers leaned forward and whispered something in his ear. Mr. Representative, Patel said slowly, this is a complex process and requires coordination between multiple agencies. Raskin cut him off. I'm not talking about coordination. I'm asking you why. Why were the voices of 47 witnesses silenced? Silence. Raskin opened the blue folder. Let me help you, he said. This is a list of the people mentioned in the statements of these 47 witnesses. I won't read their names because some of them are still protected, but I can tell you their categories. Raskin looked at the list. 18 businessmen. 12 politicians, 9 entertainment industry executives, 5 technology CEOs, 2 English aristocrats, 1 former federal judge. Every category was literally a huge success. 47 witnesses, Raskin continued. He identified these 47 strongmen by name. He gave details. He gave a date. He gave space. And you, Director Patel, ensured that none of these names were known to the public. The salon fell completely silent. Even journalists were shocked. Now I'm going to ask you, Raskin said, did any of these 47 names contact you before or after the classification of these files? Patel panicked. His face changed, and it was obvious from every aspect that he was panicking. Dear Representative, this question requires multiple interpretations. Yes or no? Raskin's voice is sharp. Did any of the 47 names contact you? Patel's lawyer stood up. Mr. President, my client's right to consult before responding. Sit down, said the committee chairman. Director Patel can answer. Everyone looked at Patel. Patel opened his mouth as if to say something but couldn't speak, and opened his mouth again. I need to talk to my lawyers. And here, if you also want to see how deep this story goes, don't forget to press the like button, because Jamie Raskin hadn't dropped the real bombshell yet. Raskin slowly opened the third black folder. Director Patel, he said, a cold determination in his voice. I want to show you your phone records. Patel's face literally paled. The FBI's own internal record system, Raskin continued, October and November 2025, calls coming in and out of your office line. Raskin pulled out a page. October 30th, 2025, 2:23 p.m., Thomas Whitmore, Technology CEO. His name appears 9 times in the Epstein files. October 31st, 2025, 9:15, Senator Blake Morrison. His name appears in the Epstein files 6 times. November 1st, 2025, 4:47 p.m., David Chen, Hollywood studio head. His name appears 11 times in the Epstein files. Raskin raised his head and looked at Patel. Director Patel, you had phone conversations with at least 12 people named in the Epstein files just before the files were classified. Could you explain? Patel's hands were literally shaking. It was clear he was panicking, and his lawyers were frantically writing notes. Mr. Representative, Patel said, his voice trembling, as FBI director, I speak to hundreds of people. This isn't hundreds of people, Raskin's voice was loud. These are the people named in Epstein's sexual abuse network, the people you were looking for. And immediately after speaking with them, you made classification decisions protecting them. Democrats stood up, and Republicans were shocked. The journalists started running. Raskin made another move. Director Patel, he said, holding another document in his hand. Would you like to listen to one of these calls? Patel was horrified. The FBI's own record system, Raskin continued. October 30th, your interview with Thomas Whitmore. Shall we listen? No, Patel shouted. Mr. President, this is unacceptable. Why is it unacceptable? Raskin asked coldly. You are an FBI agent. Your search is available in the official records. Why aren't you making it public? Patel suddenly stood up and said, Mr. President, this is a violation of attorney-client privilege. Is Mr. Whitmore your lawyer? Raskin interjected. Or did you do him a favor like removing his name from the Epstein files? Patel stood up and said, This is completely untrue. Sit down, said the committee chairman. Patel sat down, but everything seemed over in his name now. Raskin's son produced the document. Director Patel, he said, in a calm but cold voice, let me read you some of the names from size 47. Thomas Whitmore, Blake Morrison, David Chen, Richard Ashford, James Peterson, Carl Weber. With each name, Patel became a little more frightened. Michael Torres, Brandon Hayes, Victor Kane, George Sullivan. Raskin paused. All of this is in your phone records. All of this is also in the Epstein files. And all of this was protected by your classification decision. Raskin leaned forward. Now I'm going to ask you, Director Patel, and all of America is waiting for your answer. Why did you talk to these men? What did you say to them? And what did they offer you? Silence. The entire hall was holding its breath and waiting. Patel looked at his lawyer and then looked at Raskin again. And then he said that sentence, perhaps that shocked everyone in American political history. Pursuant to the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, I am exercising my right not to incriminate myself. Journalists jumped to their feet and cameras zoomed in. Democrats shouted. Republicans were quietly buried.
FBI Director Kash Patel invoked his right against self-incrimination in Congress. Raskin began to speak, but it was clear from his voice that he was in shock. Are you saying that as an FBI director, you would incriminate yourself by answering questions about the Epstein files? Patel repeated in a monotonous voice, I am exercising my Fifth Amendment rights. Would explaining why you're talking to these people incriminate you? I am exercising my Fifth Amendment rights. Would it incriminate you to say why you classified the 47 witness statements? I am exercising my Fifth Amendment rights. It's as if every fifth time he says it, it has the impact of a bomb. Raskin leaned back. Mr. President, he said, I want to register this. FBI Director Kash Patel avoided answering all questions about the handling of the Epstein files by invoking his right against self-incrimination. This means he admits he's guilty. Objection, Republican member. The objection is overruled, said the president. Mr. Raskin can continue. And here, if you don't want to miss these stories, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Raskin stood up. Director Patel, he began, you came here today to be accountable to the American people, but you didn't give an account. You hid, you protected yourself, and in doing so, you broke the voices of 47 victims once again. Raskin closing the folders. I'm making a motion. This committee should subpoena all of Kash Patel's phone records. He should produce all communications he had with every person mentioned in the Epstein files, and the Ministry of Justice should initiate an urgent criminal investigation into charges of bribery, obstruction of justice, and abuse of office. I support it, said another Democratic member. Voting, said the president. Those who are on the page, the forest, all Democrats. Those against, Republicans remained silent. Some raised their hands, but most didn't say no. Because they didn't want to stand by a liar knowingly, they didn't say no. The proposal was accepted. Patel suddenly stood up, gathered his bag, and left the courtroom with his 8 lawyers. The cameras recorded every step. His hands were still trembling. Within 3 hours, #PatelTakesTheFifth became a worldwide trending topic. Within 5 hours, the White House said they were assessing. Within 8 hours, Patel's powers were suspended. Within 12 hours, a special prosecutor was appointed. It turned out that within 24 hours, he spoke to 31 out of 47. Within 48 hours, Kash Patel resigned. And those 47 names? Still secret. But now everyone knew they existed. And eventually, it will all come out, of course. Sometimes accountability depends on the courage of a member of Congress, phone records, and asking the right questions. Jamie Raskin had the courage to ask those questions. Kash Patel invoked his right to remain silent, and that silence was actually the loudest confession. If you also want the powerful to be held accountable and the voices of the victims to be heard, please share this video. Write your thoughts in the comments, and remember, silence is the greatest shield of criminals, but we will continue to talk. 47 names, an FBI director, a Fifth Amendment, and finally, justice has arrived. Because no one, no matter how powerful, is above the law.